The Evolution of Cells by MegaNerd. Cells are the most basic forms of life. Even so, they have a lot of teeny parts working together like little organs to make the cell alive, but it was not always like this. The first life. Life ingredient list. The conditions needed for life. Water, carbon, ATP, also known as adenosine triphosphate, and some other stuff that we don't know much and or anything about. What we think happened. First, somehow the ATP came to existence on Earth. Life, single-celled life that is, became. The cell ate the ATP. The cell got energy to move from the ATP. The cell farted methane. The cell split and reproduced another cell. Photosynthesis. The cell stayed eating ATP, farting methane, and reproducing for a while, but things were bound to happen. Photosynthesizing. One day, a cell mutated when it split. This happens all the time and is part of what makes you different from your parents. Anyways, when the cell mutated, it had a mutation which made it able to harness solar radiation and turn that energy into glucose, which is a chemical like ATP but has more energy for a small quantity and is easier to store. That was basically the first plant. This made them fart oxygen though, and the primordial cells did not like that. Almost all of them died out because of the oxygen farts. This is known as the oxygen catastrophe. Carnivores. The carnivorous cells who eat other cells, the discovery. Soon, the cells discovered something. They discovered a way to get just as much glucose as the photosynthesizing cell. They figured if they ate the other cell and took their glucose, they would not have to photosynthesize. Smart cells. Complex life. The ecosystem went on like that for about 500 million years. Cells photosynthesize, reproduce, and either die or get eaten. But the carnivorous plan was bound to backfire someday. Mitochondria. One day, a cell ate another cell. It was a completely normal day up until then. There was no big mutation, just a big cell eating a cell. But then the cell in the bigger cell's body survived. We call that teeny cell in the bigger cell mitochondria. Now the bigger cell had two jobs, to feed the mitochondria inside of it and to feed itself. Now the cell fed its mitochondria. In return, the mitochondria gave it ATP. It had so much ATP, it was like a supercell. This was the first complex life. Cell communities. Eventually, these cells gathered up to form cell communities. These cell communities were like big gatherings of cells, which all have a symbiotic relationship and all work together in harmony. We humans are gatherings of trillions of cells. The average human produces an entire body's worth of ATP every day. Every human, and in fact every multicelled life, to this day has teeny cells with teeny mitochondria in them. So next time you look at a tree, remember that you and the tree are cousins, just a couple billion times removed.